glass things break. It's something we say in our home when tragedy strikes. Glass things break. Now, most of the time when glass things break, it's an innocent accident. Washing dishes and the soapy glass slips and cracks, or the wind blows open the door which crashes against the table and another vase of flowers tumbles onto the hard floor. Oftentimes a bottle will break in our recycle can as other glass is recklessly tossed in and aside. Occasionally something is broken intentionally. You see, my gal Kerri is a thrower, as is my stepmother, which is probably why they get on so well. If there comes one of those conflicting moments when my father or I do something that pisses off our partner, watch out, because something might be hurled your way. Mind you, we men have given women good reason for throwing things for far too long. Both my father and I have learned to duck, and we work harder not at pushing buttons that might wind up the pitcher. One thing that didn't shatter when Kerri threw it at me was her Joy of Cooking cookbook. The spine did split apart, but we duct-taped it up and continued to pore over the wine and coffee-stained pages. That is until I bought her a new edition after she smashed an ashtray because I was behaving badly. Yet most of the times when a precious coffee mug or a delicate butter dish breaks in the sink, we don't get upset. We simply say, glass things break. And we take whatever fragments have size and put them in our mosaic bucket for a project that we haven't gotten to yet. But that night in early November, nowhere in our home, nowhere in our little town of Cerrillos, nowhere in our vast state of New Mexico with its tiny handful of electoral votes, nowhere in this beautiful land we live on and borrow did we hear the explosion of a ceiling shattering. We had heard it rumbling for far too long, waiting in anticipation with full faith and confidence. We knew we were on the verge of saying, glass things break. Instead, what I heard, what my wife and sister-in-law heard, louder than the howl of the demon Balrog as it dragged Gandalf into the hellish depths of Moria, what we heard was our democracy crashing to the cold, hard floor. Our rights, our progress, our very freedom being blown to smithereens. I heard the primal and guttural screams from the women of my life as their hearts were raped. As a man, proud of the direction our nation was headed, I felt my hubris trickling down my leg like warm urine, and I had no interest or strength in preventing the mess of elimination from pooling at my feet. All the eyes I looked into were swollen like my own, as though our collective retinas had fractured like shatterproof windshield. Our mantra, glass things break, had failed us. The entire reason for muttering the phrase was to help us release attachment to something that we had held on to for too long or cherished. And when it inevitably broke, because that's what glass things do, we'd re-embrace the notion that all this stuff is just stuff. No reason to shed a tear. We'll simply use it in an art project later. But we desperately wanted that glass ceiling to break, and it didn't. Our hearts broke. My progress broke. My hope for the future is cracked, and my will to improve or grow feels as though it is withering in the darkness of our failing climate. Even recycling. I'm a big fan of recycling. About twice a month, I gather up my store of recycling and head off to the San Marcos transfer station. And I still do that. But a darker voice in my head taunts me. What's the fucking point, Kevin? The New World Order is going to pull out of climate agreements, put the pedal to the metal and gas us all with toxic air, poison us all with petroleum-laced water, feed us so many modified foods that we'll just be dead or dying. What difference does it make if you recycle your beer cans or your olive oil jars? Much less waste your time trying to sort out whether the San Marcos transfer station takes number 2 or number 5 plastic. Fuck recycling. Just throw it in the yard. Recently, I recalled a memory I'd forgotten. I'm 6 or 7 years old, and my mother has taken me to a department store to go shopping. I don't remember why my brother and sisters weren't there. Maybe I stole a sick day from school, or maybe they were with my dad, or maybe they were there and I just didn't realize it because I was otherwise occupied. You see, my mom had asked me to wait outside of the dressing rooms while she tried on various pieces of clothing, and I loved it, because while she was in the dressing room, I could sit in front of the mirrors. You know, those 3-part mirrors that allow you to see all sides of the gown or slacks that are being tried on. And what I loved about those mirrors was that they reflected each other. If you looked at the mirror at just the right angle, you could see your face peeking back at you, multiplied deeper and deeper into the never-ending refraction. There wasn't only one of me. There was me stretching into eternity. Over the years, that image has helped shape my philosophy and sense of community. There is really only one of us here, but we are many. I see you mirrored in me. I see my behavior reflecting back in yours. I see our culture reflecting all our individual choices as they merge into the oneness that is us. I love looking into the mirror of your eyes and seeing the hope I have for the future. But the glass is cracking. I imagine those department store mirrors have long since broken because glass things break. Still, somewhere in my broken heart is a flickering flame. I reject extinction. I refuse to give up hope. I will continue to recycle. At the moment, tragedy has struck, and it wasn't because a soapy dish slipped and shattered. Still, glass things will continue to break. It's a glass thing's destiny. It's inevitable. In the meantime, I will pick myself up off of the floor where I've crumpled in my piss-stained slacks. I will clean myself up, straighten my shoulders, and take yet another deep breath. And like Gandalf, I will mend and rise and see more clearly the challenges that lay before us. I will find strength and power within me to turn and face the rising tide in the east. I will engage my community and trust in our strength of diversity. I will cling to our greatest weapon, love. And while we sort all this out in our hearts and minds, Kerri and I are going to wander out to those buckets full of shards and begin an art project, building a better world out of the broken bits of our past.